welcome to the Trailblazers Experience podcast, the podcast where we have candid conversations with women sharing their career journeys. My next guest today, and I'm feeling hungry even just talking about it, is Kathryn, who is the founder and CEO of Doughlicious, the London dough company. You must have seen them around if you're into 100% gluten-free, amazing cookies. This is the brand for you. Welcome, Kathryn.
Thank you. Nice to be here, Ntola. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited because I just had my workout this morning and we don't have a Whole Foods where I live, but whenever I'm in London, people are always talking about Doughlicious. And I thought it was just some brand that is, not started in the UK, imported, etc. And the stars have aligned that I'm actually talking to you, Kathryn. Someone introduced it to me. And I just want to talk about your career journey and how do you even come up with this great idea that you actually say, I love cookies, I want to turn it into a business?
Yeah, it's crazy because I've always loved baking since I was little. I was the type of child that if my mother went to the supermarket without me, I would be upset because I'd love to scan all the aisles, look at new products. And in the US, they also have coupons are a big thing. And I wouldn't, in the Sunday newspaper, you'd get a coupon book. And I would never look at the coupons for the cash discounts. It was always the new products, new launches, like what was out there, what food was interesting, modern, creative, and what were people doing to, I guess, elevate everybody's eating experience. So I always loved baking, then started doing really decorative cakes and cookies after we moved from Toronto back to the States. And I would do this with for caterers. So I'd do an order for 300 cupcakes, 500 cookies. And I found it just so therapeutic. And to tell you the truth, I find the dough therapeutic. So for me to make, whether it's cookie dough, sourdough bread, dough, cinnamon roll dough, so sweet dough, milk dough. There's something relaxing and really therapeutic for me.
So have you always had that early love for baking? I mean, you're from the US, so originally from which part of the States are you from?
Originally from Miami, Florida.
Yeah. And I'm thinking in Miami, Florida, it's, coastal, really warm. Not everyone's thinking of baking.
Yeah.
What sparked on now, if you think in hindsight, where did that passion come from?
Yeah, I think it was my mom. I mean, my mom was just an amazing baker. People would come to my house to eat cakes and cookies, scones. There was always something on the counter. So people would come over and they would probably like overindulge because their parents wouldn't let them have it. So they're like, okay, I'm definitely going to Catherine's house to get this.
Now, I can hear from what you were saying, you've always had that entrepreneurial spirit where you said you've started now baking and taking orders for 300 or 200, etc. There was already that inkling of an entrepreneur. So, talk me through when you then said, okay, what led to the creation of Doughlicious and
Yeah.
saying it's now going to become a business that you've now seen you've got 40,000 followers on Instagram, you're in key retailers. It's a viable business.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gone really crazy. And like I said, sometimes it's a pinch myself moment because I can't believe Dolicious has done what it's done and it is where it is and it makes people happy, which I think is just absolutely fantastic. So to answer your question, I moved to the UK in 2008 and I put my children all in British schools and they had never heard of bake sales or different bringing baked goods to school to share with your friends. So I put them in Hill House, which is a small school in Knightsbridge, and started the bake sales because the children always wanted to go on these different events and they had to fund it somehow. So I'm like, have a bake sale. Everybody does that in the US. So my children started the bake sale thing, and a friend of mine, my child's school friend's mom, she had grown up in the States, but she was British, and she said, "Oh my God, I'm obsessed with your chocolate chip cookies. Can you just make some for me?" And I said, "Of course." So I balled them with a ice cream scoop, put them in a Ziploc bag, and in the freezer. And I took them to her and she was like, oh my gosh, I need some more of these. So people started learning about it, and I would set up shop in a gallery in Belgravia and just email everybody and say, okay, I've got these cookies. I have peanut butter. I have ginger molasses, double chocolate this week. And people would come and get their dough. So, I mean, it wasn't a huge business, but I knew there was something to it. Then it continued to grow a little more, where I put it in um, this in Battersea. There was a cafe that had a CPU, and they were sending out. So they had all the baking capabilities or all the mixing capabilities.
Mm.
So I gave them the recipe and I said, "Can you help me out here with this?" So they started making it and they put it on Deliveroo, and it was crazy because people were spending £10 on 10 cookie dough balls to bake at home. So I knew if they were spending the money, then I had something. And I even had people, like famous people that I'm not, I can't, I probably should say who they are, but they were contacting me saying, I need the dough. And, so then in 2017, I thought, all right, I've got to do something with this. So I either take it big or I shut it down, because I'm staying up until 4 a.m. doing cookies, trying to do the mommy thing. So I had kids, the doggy thing with the dogs, and it just became too much. So I put it in the specialty fine food show, and I literally put my t-shirt on. I had my husband put his t-shirt on. We had a card table and got some banners for behind us, and people came to us and they loved it. Whole Foods came to us. They're like, we love it. How do we get it? Planet Organic, Ocado. So I knew at that point that I could take it to make it business.
Way you've just told this story, because a lot of the times when people are saying, I've got a business idea, cop the new book from the guy who started Netflix, and he was talking about how
Oh yeah, I have them too.
the best ideas come from, or rather the ideas that turn into a business are the ones where you've already tried and tested. So not sold it or your family's interested in it, but actually people have shown that there's an interest in the product. So, you were already staying up all night making up these
Yeah.
orders. You'd found a way to sell this product to other people. So there was a proof of concept. There was actually demand for the product. So it was
Right.
able to scale. Where sometimes people do it the other way around. They haven't even tested it. They don't even know if people need it. And you're already doing that anyway.
Yeah. And I think what was cool is I did my research too, and I saw that it was a category that had not been tapped into in the UK. So there basically wasn't any ready to bake cookie dough. And I was like, okay, this is crazy. Like, I grew up in the US with cookie dough, cookie dough, cookie dough, cookie dough everywhere, Toll House, Pillsbury. So I thought this is insane. But what I did was I wanted to make it modern. I wanted to give it a life. I wanted it to be different from what I had seen in the US from the Pillsbury and the Toll House. Make it like unique flavors, more healthy. So use ingredients that nobody had used before, which of course would be premium, but premium and also affordable and better for you.
That's so true, because I've seen you've got, 100% gluten-free, you've got vegan options. It's a healthier, natural snacking option. Would you say that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love it because you can snack all day on it, from the cookie dough, then you can bake, to the gelato bites. And we're coming out with a ambient cookie that is on LNER train lines right now, and it's doing so well. So we are increasing the collection to be 4 cookies, and they're all grab and go, ready to eat. And they'll sit on the shelf, and one of them is even going to be high in protein.
So let's talk about funding the Doughlicious dream. Talk to me about the journey of funding Doughlicious, because
Yeah.
it feels like it was bootstrapped from the beginning, just
Yeah.
you pulling together and well, the passion. Are there some challenges that you faced? We talked about manufacturing, and talk to me about just funding the business and growing it.
Well, like I've mentioned, I'm super lucky that we were able to self-fund it for a long time, but it wasn't easy, and it's never easy. So I think when people say, I want to start a business, um, and I want to tell you something else funny. I have twins, and people would always come up to me like, oh my God, I want twins. And I don't think people understand how hard things are. Like, it's so easy to say, I want that. But nothing's easy and it takes so much work. Like the twins took tons of work. Life is work, right? To succeed or make something happen. It's all hard. And starting a business it's crazy. Like I never thought it would be as difficult, time consuming from a mentally, financially standpoint. And yeah, like we put everything in it. I started it. I bought machines and figured out contract manufacturing early on was not for me. So went to Germany, bought a machine, set up in the London bread and cake company in Walthamstow. So took out like rented a little room. So got my square footage and put up curtains so there was no cross contamination, and grew out of that after 4 months, and then rented a warehouse in Wilston Junction, again, like built-in freezers, and it's all expensive, and hiring people that could help me grow my vision. And then in 2019 we actually grew into the space where we are now, which we took out a huge warehouse, about 4,000 square feet, which was massive to me at the time, and has since grown to now 22,000 square feet in the same area, which now I still look around and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's insane what we built. But yeah, the financials difficult. We did a fundraise to do friends and family, and we're very fortunate that we had people support us because they loved the dough and they felt like super passionate about it. And then actually again just did another raise and had our first large investor, which is a private office out of Switzerland, and we are their first food product, consumer product, that they've invested in. So it's nice that they felt passionate about what we did and to support us. And now we've just entered into the US, so we'll have to do eventually another fundraise to grow out the US. That would probably come in the next couple of years.
Where does your expertise come from? So before Doughlicious, what was your background?
Oh my God. I was in politics. So I think being in politics and be able to persuade somebody.
Yeah, I was gonna say, part of persuasion there.
Yeah. And I hate, let me tell you, I hate raising money. Like it's the worst. I feel like I have to sell my soul. And then I have this sense of guilt, like, oh my God, can I do it? Can I not do it? I have to do it. And then it's so weird because then this power takes over me. Like I get this thing in my gut that makes me stronger because I feel like I cannot let anybody down. There's no way I'm going to let people down. So then I literally, the fire lights in my belly and I'm like, let's go. Come on. Actually, I say, let's do. We got to do it because I never want to let people down. And I think that comes back to also with my product. I always want people to be happy. And the reason I created Doughlicious was for people to be happy and find the snack that they could love, that would decrease food waste because they can have it in moderation. They can bake what they're going to consume, or they'll keep it in the freezer and they'll consume it. Like it breaks my heart to walk down the street and I see people's rubbish out and there's full packs of food that have gone off. Like it's so sad because there's so many people that could use that food. So they should either give it to the food bank or they should have never bought it. Just, I think more, the more we can do for food waste, the better.
It's trickle down into, so you're not running a business, you're employing people. You seem to express a lot that's rooted in your core values and your ethics. What is your mission now for Doughlicious and your vision as you see it now in terms of the core values that you already have growing up, and how does that trickle down into your business, Doughlicious?
Yeah, just continue to grow it, innovate, modernize the category, and give people the best snacking opportunities out there.
Yeah,
and that comes into like handheld, better for you because of the ingredients. Listen, I'm not going to tell you people like they should eat our product and they're going to lose weight and it's going to be like a game changer. But I think it's got to start somewhere, and it starts with better for you ingredients, moderation, just thinking about what you're eating. So if you have these options, going for the better option. And we're very transparent with our labels, having a clean label. Like I won't do, if I'm going to do my cookie with a long shelf life, I will not put any E numbers, any additives or preservatives. I can't even say that this morning. Preservatives. But what we'll do is we use starches. We use like we play around with the healthier sugars. So that's the way we get the shelf life longer. And I might only have a 4-month shelf life, but you know what? That's okay. Like I'm not gonna add a bunch of stuff in there for a year shelf life.
Yeah, I love that you're not chasing the I want to be in this retailer, so it means we have to change who we are as a business and our principles. You still want to stick to the core values of who you are.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
no, thank you. That means a lot. And you know what? Like this weekend, I got an email from a woman and it's called Miracle Makers. And she wrote, "Dear Miracle Makers, I absolutely love your product. Full stop. Done." And I was like, oh my God, that's so cute. And I never thought of myself as a miracle maker. I try to think of myself as a good person that's doing something, better for people, um, making their life maybe a little more exciting with the products. But it was really cute that she called us a miracle.
I mean, that's amazing. And as a female founder as well, I think that's what I love about the podcast is that we're highlighting everyday stories, women who look like you and me, who've had an idea, went for it and just did something great. And I think food is always the best way to do anything.
Yeah. Well, you think
So,
about food, it brings people together.
yeah,
Like you said, it makes them happy. It's it's nourishing, but it's also self-fulfilling. And it's, what do we do? When we're happy, we eat together. When we're sad, we eat by ourselves. But it's part of life.
definitely. I mean, food is what brings people together for sure. So let's talk about you and empowering women. I mean, you're a female founder. I'm certain that your roles and responsibilities have evolved or maybe multiplied, having started as a one-woman operation and now a team of over 50. Talk to me about some of the challenges of being a female founder, because I'm certain there are women in the audience who are facing similar challenges, but also how have you evolved as a founder as the business has scaled?
Yeah. So I'm very involved as a founder. I'm there every day. I don't have an office. I hotspot, so I move around. I'm in multi offices. Love it. I think my favorite part of the business is still product development, quality, just because that's where I feel like my I don't know, my experience and my love
Your
is.
strength, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
my strength. Um, but it's really hard. I used to have tons of women. Like I had a woman head of commercial. My COO is a woman. My shift managers are women. I had a woman factory manager. Now we have a man. Um, but now that we've grown, I have more men in the office. And it's not a bad thing. It's different. It's very different. And sometimes I have to remind the men that, like have to get back in there because you know what? You can't have these little men cliques and they do that.
Mm.
So I have to say, be, include everybody, but don't go off like that because it doesn't look good. Because I think they do tend to do that. And the other interesting thing is no matter where we are, like if we're we have a meeting outside of the office or in the office, I notice that I'm the one still as the CEO that's serving everybody. And the men just all sit there. Like there's just this weird thing. And I think there's just not enough. Like, I mean, I try every day to empower women, but it's so hard. I just don't even know how to get across that line. Like there's maybe it's baby steps, and maybe that's what you and I are doing, our baby steps. Does that all make sense? Like
Yeah,
sometimes I
yeah.
feel like I don't know how it is in your household, but do the women still serve? Because I feel like that's the way it still happens sometimes in my household. And maybe it's because I love to. Maybe it's because I am that type of person that loves to make, bake, serve. But I don't know sometimes how to cross that line and empower myself more. And maybe that's why I need you as a consultant to help empower myself. But I struggle. I struggle with women empowerment. So going back to your question, anybody I can help, I want to help. Like if a woman comes to me and says, how do I start a business? How do I get funding? And I'm always happy to help because I think it's just the more we can join together, and the more we can become stronger, the better off we are.
I think so. I think we, like you said, baby steps.
Yeah.
We can't change the way the world is at the moment, but it's little things at a time, isn't it? And because we're nurturers as women, we are nurturers, we're caretakers. That
Yeah,
is
I think
something
that's
that's
what it
innate in
is.
us.
That's a
Yeah,
good word for it.
yeah.
Because I
I
do
think
feel
that's it.
like maybe that's the nurturing in me, but then also I feel like can't change things. And sometimes I'd love to change them more. So that's why I support women, because I want to make a change.
Yeah. And do you network outside of, I know we've talked about By Women Built. How has networking played a very big part for you? And the reason why I always bring this up is I speak to so many women who are just terrified of putting themselves out there and actually, whether it's a relationship or professional or personal, you're not going to meet people in your living room. So you need to
Yeah,
get yourself
yeah,
out there
yeah.
is my motto. How has that been for you? Was it something that you were natural with? I mean, you've talked about the bake sales and
Hmm.
school, so you already sort of built that community. But once it becomes a business networking, is there a difference that you've seen, or has it been harder?
I think I'm the type of person that I love to talk to people. So I love networking. I think with the thing I struggle with is time.
Hmm.
It's just, there's just not enough hours in the day. You know, if I'm out too much networking, then the emails pile up. And or I'm not getting something else done that I should have been getting done. So I think that's where I struggle. But I love networking, and I think LinkedIn is fantastic as a platform to try to network without being present. But I also try to go to different events. By Women Built has been absolutely amazing in getting these women together to just share stories, ask for help. Sometimes networking has saved me, which I know it doesn't sound a lot, but a P per pack of, in manufacturing, which is a lot. So just being out there networking, I was able to change my cardboard supplier, which saved me 1p, which is every time I place an order now, it's thousands. I mean,
Mm.
it sounds like so small, but it's such a big thing. And I think this is where we need to share more, because we all can help save that piece somewhere that's going to make a difference.
I think so. It's like you said, everything is increments, isn't it? I don't know, growing up, I always thought you have to have this big idea, big steps, big achievements. But what actually I've learned over time is I'm connecting the dots to each experience that I've had, each business that I've worked for, each founder I've spoken to, each woman I've had a conversation. And it's all adding to that toolkit of skills that I've acquired over the years, but it's been in increments. I mean, I'm in my 40s now, so it's been what, 20 years of gathering all that information. It didn't just
Yeah.
happen overnight. And that's something that when I see, I blame sometimes social media, Kathryn, for it, where there's this thing that instant gratification, you can make this much, you can scale this, but it all takes time.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely.
It's a big thing in that way.
Right, right. But I do love, I mean, the girl that started Homewrecker, which is this amazing pimento cheese, she was introduced by a friend to me. And I could have said, sorry, I don't have time, but we've actually become really good friends. And her cheese is now in 20 stockists and she's doing fantastic. And I feel like, and being, I've helped her, and being from the States, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, let me taste your pimento cheese. I love it. And then I was just asked to be on a board of a new Italian startup, which, um, I'm going to help them, and I don't necessarily even have to be on board. I just want to help them, because I think a lot of people helped me in the beginning too. And again, goes back to that silly thing of, yeah, if you can save a P here and a P there, it's the difference between profitability and not, which, that's where we all want to get to, this place where we can relax, we can feel good because we're profitable as a business.
Exactly. It's all about profit, isn't it? At the end of the day, you don't want to start a business and have to close it down because you didn't get your margins and your
Yeah.
costs all aligned. Such a very
Right.
big thing.
Yeah. But that's, I mean, like we were talking earlier before the podcast, is it's reinvesting in the business and taking that money and then getting it off the shelf. And that's where, it's a constant challenge for any of us to grow the businesses and make sure that everybody knows about them. So that is another part of networking that I find so important, because I think a lot of people know about Doughlicious, but I'll go to parties or things and they'll be like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I'll tell them, they're like, "Oh, I haven't heard of that." So
Another
then I
customer who's not heard of us.
get really upset because I'm like, "Oh my God, I just spent this much on marketing and they don't even know about me. So what am I doing wrong?" So then I have to go back to the marketing team and say, "Okay, did we do this? Or, what is our return on this investment?" Because it's just so difficult to get your name out there to everybody. And yeah, I wish there was an easier way. So if
Yeah.
anybody has any advice on that, please let me know.
It's yeah, to grow a business, it's every new customer that you acquire, isn't it? So and if you're not reaching that customer, you're thinking, am I targeting the wrong audience?
Yeah,
More people need to know about my product? It's that constant
right.
cycle as well.
Well, and also figure out who is your target audience. Like mine is, I think I've got a lot of target audience, because if, we get letters from the man who's 90 who can now bake his own cookies at home, or the millennials, the Gen Zennials, it's really difficult to narrow down. And you can't focus on everybody. So you've got to focus on that core. So I think our target is the Gen Zennials. So it's a
Yeah.
mixture of the millennials and the Gen Z. So, but it's really hard to find your voice, your target audience. All those things take time and a lot of thought process, and again, finances to make that happen.
I think sometimes it's the crazy collaborations. Like I've just really recently gotten into home renovations and painting the home and stuff like that, because it's cheaper to do it yourself. And tradesmen are really expensive. But Lick, which is an interesting paint brand, have done a collaboration with Mac. And in my head, I was thinking, do you know what? This actually makes sense, because if you're very interested about color palettes and so on, and it's an
Mhm.
audience that you'd think, well, makeup and paint doesn't go together, but
Yeah.
it sort of does in a way.
Oh, very
So it's
cool.
finding that, yeah,
Yeah, I would love to do a collab, but it has to be the right collab.
exactly. That
Yeah.
aligns with your brand,
Yeah.
aligns with you. That's exciting as
Yeah.
well, and it just is fun.
Yeah. Actually, I reached out to, I don't know if you know the coffee brand Florence, I think is
Yeah.
that woman, Millie Bobby Brown.
Yes.
And because we're doing a new flavor that has coffee in it, like a coffee something, I can't give it away because it's a new product. But I thought it'd be really fun, like woman to woman. I think she's really fun. Um, but I haven't heard back. So we'll see.
Well, Florence, if you're listening,
Yeah.
reach out to Kathryn. I'd
Yeah.
love to see that as well.
Yeah.
So,
I know. I
Kathryn,
think it'd be fun.
yeah, I think so too. It's the consumer is not stupid. I say this all the time, is the consumer loves authenticity. They love things that are fun, that make sense, that is aligned. And like you said, the Gen Zennials, the millennials that are love socials and love new brands and new products, they understand when something is not real and not authentic as well.
Right. Yeah. I
It's
agree.
linking into that. Let's talk about resilience. So beyond baking, you're not only a businesswoman, you're Olivia nominated producer, but on
Yeah.
a personal role, you are a cancer survivor, which hats up to you. That is an interesting experience, life changing.
Um,
How has that shaped your approach to business and just life in general?
Yeah, I think again, I feel like I've been really lucky. I've been lucky in life, with from Doughlicious taking off to um healthy children, great husband, cute dogs. Like, I mean, like things, listen, it's things can go wrong, and they did go wrong that day. But again, I was lucky. I caught cancer early. I in the shower washing and felt a small lump, and so went to the doctor, and they said, "Oh, it's probably just a fibroid or something." And then they called me on, that was on Wednesday. On Friday, I got a phone call. "Oh, sorry, you have cancer." So it was kind of shocking, and but I figured out, I've just got to take this straight on and head on, and deal with it and make the most of it. So I did my research around cancer surgeons and which hospitals I could go to. And one thing at Doughlicious we do provide is private healthcare, which I think is really important, because if somebody's faced with something like what I was faced with, I want them to have the best decision makers out there and people to help them overcome these obstacles and make sure they feel good about what they're doing for their body. So I just dealt with it, had a lumpectomy. I think radiotherapy was the worst thing ever. And somebody just called me recently telling me his wife had the exact same thing and she was going to do a lumpectomy and radiotherapy. And I said, all I can tell you is just support her, be there. Don't tell her what to do. And if you're not there for every day, and my radiotherapy was 5 weeks every single day, if you can't go with her, have somebody else go with her. It's 15 minutes, but it is like the most awful 15 minutes just because it's depressing. I think that's where you find your lows. And so always have somebody there to help them. But I mean, I was also fortunate that I had Doughlicious to take my mind off of these things that were going on with my body. So I could focus on work, and I had a great, group of women supporters in Doughlicious. And so that helped me get me through those awful times.
There's something about finding your tribe, isn't it? In your personal, your professional life is
Yeah.
so important.
Yeah. And 1 in 7 women are diagnosed with some form of breast cancer, which is really crazy statistics. So we all, and also I talk about it. I think people that don't talk about it, that's a detriment to other women. So share your experience, like, do this, don't do that. Here's what I recommend, but obviously do what's best for you.
And do you know the charity Copperfield? I mean, they're brilliant, and the whole thing of doing the whole checks in the shower. I mean, I will put it in the show notes just to remind women to do their checks and touch themselves and actually, make sure, because if you can catch it early, that's brilliant.
And I loved Copperfield so much that I gave 50% of all net profits from our strawberry eaten mess pack back to Copperfield.
They're brilliant.
So yeah, so anything I could do, and we still support different breast cancer charities. I loved Copperfield, but I realized when I ended the relationship with them, and I ended it just so I could support other charities, because there's so many out there.
Of course.
I wish they would form as one, which would make it easier for us to contribute to the one. I mean, there's just amazing things that people are doing to support women that go through this. So now I'm happy if there's any cancer charities listening, reach out to me. I'm always happy to help with samples, with product, sales, whatever I can do.
Oh, that's amazing. So with Doughlicious achieving impressive growth, I mean, you are listed in multiple countries. What's next for the brand? What do you envision for the future of your business?
Yeah, good question. Well, I mean, I'm really excited because right now we're in Australia and launched in US in December. So we launched in 4 regions with Whole Foods. And Whole Foods has been absolutely fantastic. And then in April, we launched nationwide with Whole Foods. And we gave them exclusivity through June 30th. So the window has just been opened. And now stay tuned for huge news on October 13th. So I'm really excited about where Doughlicious is going and the amount of people that it will reach, and the plans we have for back half of 2024.
And this is all from your factory in the UK. Is this where it's all coming out from? Wow.
So with this last fundraise, we were able to increase productivity. So I'm at probably only half capacity right now with the increase in the factory. So we put in new lines. It's literally like a mini Willy Wonka. It's things going up. I mean,
I need to come and visit the facility now. I'm so curious.
I mean, because we're in central London, it's hard, right? And going this way is going horizontally is hard. So when you can't go horizontal because of land, and you go vertical. Yeah. So we took everything vertical. So there's literally slides, round, going down, going up. It's quite crazy.
I mean, that's amazing. And also great for the community there to see the business just grow
Yeah.
vertically, obviously, but
Mhm.
to see it just grow there, it must be like a delicious family community around
Yeah, and
there.
we've been lucky. We get tons of support from Ealing and West London Business. I submitted for a grant and I got a 50,000 pound grant, which I bought ovens with so I could start my baking business. So not only just creating the dough, but be able to bake off the dough to make the flour wrapped cookies. So it's all been this crazy, um, just wheel turning and gaining more strength to, hire more people, provide dough for more people, grow the factory, just again, investing back in the business just to make it stronger.
Yeah. How do you take care of you? So when you're not running the business 24/7, 365,
Yeah.
what do you do for you, Kathryn? Is self-care been a thing, or is it because this has been your passion? It is your lifelong fulfillment. But you're a mother, you're an entrepreneur, you're a wife, you're a dog mom, a
Yeah.
lot going on.
hmm I think the dog mom is my favorite thing ever. I mean, because my children are older now. So the twins are 26 and I have a 24-year-old. So getting out every day, I wake up probably 6 in the morning and then I get out by 7 with the dogs and take them on a walk. And I think that's my happy place and my time to think. So every day I need to be out for at least an hour walking and get my coffee, think about the day, have a phone call if I need it. And that's my happy place. And then usually end the day the same way.
There's something about getting out there and enjoying, whether it's the sunlight or nature, that is a very big
Yeah.
part, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And like every Sunday I love going to Columbia Road. And I think that's, seeing the flowers, just being thankful for the environment and nature and starting my day in a happy place.
I think for the audience who's maybe not listening, so she's got an amazing painting where I can see a tree. So I'm seeing
Oh
the
yeah.
connection there as well. Do you know, we are living in a digital world, and it's so important for us to detox and detach. And taking walks, I mean, it's free, it doesn't cost anything, to maybe your time, but that's
hmm
important as well to get out there. And do you think it's about making space for yourself as a woman is really important, do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I think we need to try to definitely do more of that too. And, I do miss working out. I try to do, like, as you get older, it's important to do weights and everything, but I think the mental is more important for me than the physical right now. So that walking, I'm getting my physical, but mentally preparing for the day in a peaceful, calm situation is nice for me.
Yeah. So we always end the podcast with Trailblazer takeaway tips. So for someone who maybe has just joined the podcast and fast forwarded to the end, if there were 3 or 4 tips you could share with another female entrepreneur, another entrepreneur, what would that be?
Go slow to go fast. Because if you move too fast, you make mistakes, and there's no rewind button, which I've learned the hard way. I think be kind because every day can be stressful and it's easy to go from 0 to 10 and then um sometimes are not kind. So I think always be kind and gosh, a third one? Mm, um learn to say no because it's easy to say yes, but once you say yes, then you've started the the watch, you've started the clock. But think about it. Think about your strategic move, why you should do this. Should you say yes? Should you say no? And usually, sometimes saying no is a good thing.
A great summary and a great way to end this interesting conversation. So for everyone, this was Kathryn from Doughlicious, the London dough company. If you haven't heard of it, Google it, and food for your soul, I would say. I said there's always something interesting about having a cookie with your cup of coffee or whatever it is that you love to drink. But
Yeah.
thank
Or
you so
gelato
much.
night in the afternoon. So you can start the day with a cookie and your coffee. Then you can have a gelato bite midday. And then you can end it with a nut cookie.
Well, there you go. 3 tips of how to enjoy your delicious power pack. No, thank you so much. It's been really inspiring to have you on the podcast and telling your story and just humanizing. You know, you've been through some personal things as well, but also professionally, you're doing something that you love, which I think is the essence of life as well. So thank you so much for sharing your story.
Yeah, thank you, Ntola. Thank you for having me.
So, for everyone, this has been the Trailblazers Experience podcast. You know where to find us. And I have one favor: tell another woman about the podcast and remember to follow, subscribe, and share. Until next time, thank you.
Thank you.